Good. Wait, let me just make sure. Yeah. Audio's working. Sorry about that. The laptop ran out of battery. So I was telling everyone else that in the study guide, there's a mistake that I mentioned, and I wanted to correct it. If you go back to the preposition portion, where it says min, you should move it in the preposition section. Where it says min, this box should be underneath the category where it causes the noun after it to end with a kasra or a kasra with tanween. There should be nothing in this category. We didn't learn that yet. So it was my mistake. It was in the wrong area, and I said it wrong. So I wanted to apologize for that and ask you guys to correct that in your notes. And the correct version will be emailed to you guys. And you'll see in the examples over here, we did have that, min Allahi, min al-Madinati, but I wrote it in the wrong box. So please correct that in your notes so you're not confused. Okay, let's go back to the examples. So we were going over chapter 5. Does everyone? Yeah. Sure. So number 1. So what's number 1? Okay. Musa heard Allah. Now, so automatically, again, just to be repetitive, only to make you guys think in the way that you should, when you see a verb, you underline it and automatically remember that we're gonna try to make this into a verbal sentence. A verbal sentence begins with the verb, so we will begin with a verb heard. So Musa is male, so we'll begin with the male form of heard. What's heard? Samia, right? So we'll begin with Samia. Okay? So that's the first word in this verbal sentence. The next thing is the subject, right? Well, it's not exactly called subject in a verbal sentence, but for now, we'll just call it the doer, okay? The doer of the action is the next thing, which is Musa. Musa ends in an alif maksura. An alif maksura is the ya without dots. Therefore, it is unchangeable. It always looks the same. Okay? Just reminding you that. So Musa heard. So that's why it doesn't have any markings after it or anything. The object of the action is Allah. Allah. And it's a fatha because it's the object of the action. Musa is the doer. So you'll see a pattern. That's the pattern, basically. I don't know if he's taught you that. That's why I'm kind of hesitant on saying all of this. Is it begins with the verb, then it's the doer, and then it's the done to, or the object.
So we can pronounce it Musa, right?
Samia, Musa, Allahu, Allah. Don't worry so much about pronunciation right now. That's a whole different element speaking. No. Because Musa, remember, it's a proper noun. For proper nouns, remember how it's, you can write this if you want.
Could be wrong.
Okay, the standing one?
For Allah, it is standing.
I think we have to
Yes.
on that.
Yes, Allah will have, yes,
For Musa, it is black.
exactly. It is a alif maksura. Alif maksura can be written like this. It can be written like this. It's just a style of writing. But do what he's taught you. I'm not sure if he's taught you with the standing alif or without it. So whatever he's taught you, do that. It's just a different way of writing. Any other questions before we do examples from another chapter?
Let's see the sentence that you just saw.
Okay.
Samyan Musa Allah.
Yes.
And the reason we have the kasra at iha is because it's the object.
It's not a kasra, it's a fatha. It's on top. On top is a fatha. The reason we have it because it's the done to. It's the object or of the action.
They're calling it object, so it's not.
Okay. All right, so let's go to examples now. Chapter 4. So now you guys are experts on chapter 5. So I expect everyone to get everything right.
So how many questions will it take?
I have no idea. I haven't seen the test.
We can take a group test or no?
Group test? Again, this is for however much you want to learn. It's totally a class where we're doing it for our own benefit. So work as hard as you can to get that.
Can you use the study guide?
He said, I haven't seen the test, but from what I remember in class, he said that the test will be like the exam, like the homework questions. So if you know how to do the homework, then you will succeed on the test.
Are they going to be any multiples or just you have to write everything?
There will be no such thing as multiple choice. It will be all handwritten. But again, I don't know. I haven't seen the test. I know as much about the test as you guys do.
Do you know how many points?
No, I do not know how many points. I do not know how long.
When do we get the results?
I do not know when you get the results.
Starting time, because you were loaded, I see right, it sounded like you said 7, on Thursday, there's lots of good questions, and then when does the exam actually start? All makes sense.
He said 7:30.
I will ask him to make an announcement on the canvas. Yes.
This is the way he sent us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly the way this one like it before.
That's the guide I made.
Oh, I see.
So it's gonna and so I'm gonna email you the filled out portion. The reason we sent the blank one is so you can actually make notes in class. So it'll be easy for you to remember. But the filled out version will also be sent to you. These examples you already have, so these aren't going to be sent to you. So from chapter 4, let's go over the first one. So number 1, the girl is a believer. We're back to nominal sentences because there's no noun. I mean, there's no verb. There's no noun. There's 2 nouns. There's no verb. And so nominal sentences have a subject and predicate. The subject is the girl. The predicate is believer. The is implied. They both have to match in gender. And that's basically it. So, so practice again. Cover the Arab. That's how I would study. I would cover the Arabic and I would see the English and I would try to write it out. So when you say the girl is a believer, you begin with the girl, so you write, and it's definitive. So because it has a the, so you say al bintu. You don't say al bintun, mu'mina, and then you mu'minatun. The reason why isn't it al mu'minatun?
Because it's.
It won't be a nominal sentence.
Exactly. If it had an L, it would not be a nominal sentence. It would be a fragment. It would be a noun-adjective relationship. Okay, so this is al-bintu mu'minatun. Why is it mu'minatun instead of mu'minatu? It's tun is because it's indefinite. It has two markings instead of one. If it's definitive, then it has one marking.
And all in front.
Exactly. An al in front.
You say the last part, or-
So if, again, go back to the portion in the notes where it goes over definitive versus indefinitive words. Again, all these notes are just concepts, they're not examples, but it's so you can do all the examples. So anytime you have a question, look at the notes. It says definitive versus indefinitive. Definitive is with the L, without tanween, and proper nouns are always definitive. So that's all you need to know. If you know that, you're cool. Okay, the next one. The Muslim female is short. So now again, we see the word is, so it's a nominal sentence. Nominal sentences have a subject and predicate that both match in gender. It's a female Muslim, so the way you say that is al-muslimatu is short. We know it's a sentence, not a noun-adjective relationship. Therefore, there is no alif lam. If it was an alif lam, it would match in all the properties of a noun-adjective relationship, and it would be good. If it had an alif lam, for example, if it said al-muslimatu, al-kasiratu, it would say short Muslim. That would be the short Muslim. That would be the translation if we add in an al there, because it would be a noun-adjective relationship. Because there's an is, it's a sentence. There's no al, and you say kasiratun. It's tun because it's indefinite. There's a ta, a circle ta, because we're making it feminine. Because it's feminine, because it has to match in gender to the subject. Making sense? Okay, next one. The large city is beautiful. So this is, again, another nominal sentence. There is a subject and there's a predicate. The subject is before the is. The predicate is after the is. Okay? The large city is the subject. The large city, this little piece over here before the is a noun-adjective relationship. The noun-adjective relationship, if we go back to our notes, this is why the notes are cool to refer to. The noun, the adjective must match the noun in four things: vowel markings, gender, either both definitive or both indefinitive. The fourth category you don't know about. Okay, so now we look back at our notes, we remember that, and then we say large city. Also in Arabic, it's reversed, right? City is first, the adjective's last. So we write city, it's the city, al-madinatu, and then it has to both be definitive. So we put it al, kabiratu, because it both has to match in gender, and it's a dhamma because it has to match, the vowel markings have to match. So all three categories are met. So al-madinatu, al-kabiratu. So we finished the first part before the is. So we finished the subject. Now we have to do the predicate. The predicate, the rule with the predicate is it must match in gender to the subject. The subject is feminine, so the predicate must be feminine. The predicate is not definitive, because if it was, then it would continue in a noun adjective relationship. If I added al and I said al jamilatu, it would be the sentence would be the beautiful large city instead of the large city is beautiful. Is it making sense, or am I confusing you? Yeah.
In Al-Madinatul Al-Kabiratu, in reading or saying, but what do you say, Al-Madinatul Kabiratu?
Yes.
You don't say Al twice.
Wait, sorry?
Al-Madinatu Al-Kabiratu, in saying,
Uh-huh.
if we are talking, we won't say Al twice or reading.
You would.
Like we, Al-Madina will say, but Al-Kabira will say Al-Madinatul Kabira.
Al-Madinatul, yes. So, Al-Madinatul Kabiratu, yes. You would go from, that's a rule of like speaking. When there's two sukoons, you know, it's hard to say. So whatever, you'll naturally do that. You don't even have to remember the rule. You'll naturally do that because it's hard to say that two sukoons. I was saying that, that's true. I shouldn't have said it that way, but I was saying it on purpose to emphasize the L, so you guys know that it's definitive. Yeah, but that's a great question, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So thank you. Okay, so the next question is it is a strong fire. So it is hiya or hua. How do we know to use hiya or hua? We know that the subject and the predicate have to match in gender. So before the is the subject, after the is the predicate, right? There's nothing in the subject for us to understand what the gender should be. So we look at the predicate. The predicate, we know that it must be feminine because we know, how do we know it's feminine? Because if we go to the things that make feminine, nar is a special word that's always feminine. It's one of those special words. So if you ever forget, you go back to your notes. So nar is feminine, so we know that the predicate is feminine automatically. So we choose hiya instead of hua. So now we have hiya, a strong fire. That's a noun-adjective relationship. The noun comes first before the adjective in Arabic. So we write nar, and then we write strong, kawiyatun, and there's a ta marbuta, the circle ta, because it must be feminine, because nar is feminine. It is narun over here. I'm just not pronouncing the ending sound. Okay, how are you guys doing? Tired? Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, we will keep going. All right, so the next one. So the next one is really complicated. Whenever you see an and, treat it as two separate sentences. Do the first part and then do the second part and put a wow in between them. Otherwise, it's going to be really complicated. So let's do the first part. Maryam is in a garden. Okay? The word before is the subject. So Maryam is feminine. So the rest of it must be feminine. So we say Maryamu is in a garden. So in is a special preposition. Wow, you remember these special prepositions, right? Fi is in, and it causes the noun after it to end with a kasra or a kasra with a tanween. So over here it says Maryamu fi jannatin, and you notice this tin. It doesn't use the tin or whatever. It doesn't have an alif lam, so that's why it's a tanween, because it's a garden. It's not the garden. And there you go. I feel like everyone, it's pretty easy, right? It's not that hard now.
Sorry, why is it thin?
It's thin because fi is a special preposition that makes things into a kasra or a kasra, two kasras, depending on what it has. This is indefinite, so it has two. Definite has one.
So every time you have P and you have indefinite,
Then it's two. Yeah, then it's the tanween,
okay.
the two markings. Yes.
So this one it says Miriam is in Agartha, Khadija is in Medina, meaning Medina Munawwara, or meaning the city? She's in the city, like the city as in the location.
The way to say city in Arabic is Medina.
Right, so it's different if you say she's in Medina or she's in the city, meaning she went to town, she went in the city.
Yeah,
Which one is this?
it says the city, so this is the city. It's not the name. It's not a proper noun.
So it's
I mean, it is a proper noun, but it's not a proper noun because it's a name of a place. It's a proper noun because it's the city. There's a the.
what if you said Medina Munawwara, you'd say Medina without the
Probably. Sometimes certain names will have a. Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, probably. Let's just say it like that. I can give a more complicated answer, but for now we'll stop there. And then the next part, Khadija is in the city. So Khadija is the subject. Okay, before the is, so we do that. Khadija too. The predicate usually comes afterwards, so we say the is implied in the city. So fil madinati. The reason there's an L is because of the da. The reason there's one kasra is because it's definite. Making sense? Did I lose anyone? Any questions? Wow, this is great. No questions. Okay, so next one. Fatima is from Mecca. So now we know, again, this is a nominal sentence. So we begin with the subject, which is usually the stuff before the is. So Fatima too. We have to remember how the proper nouns are. So remember, if it has two markings, one marking, just remember the rules for it. From Mecca. Okay, so this is, so it says Mecca. Mecca is, remember, one of those special words. Over here, you see it? It's a special word because it can partially change. It can change, it can have the ending can have a fatha or it can have a dhamma, but it can never have a kasra. So it can only be fi makkata. So therefore, Fatimatu min Makkata. Pretty cool. Last one in chapter 4. So again, this is a nominal sentence. The woman is on the small mountain. So let's do the part before the is, which is the subject. Al-mara'atu. Okay? And that makes sense, right? The is there, so we put an L. There's only one marking because it's definite. Now the next part is on the small mountain. Now one thing to, the small mountain is a noun-adjective relationship. Remember, they must match in vowel markings. So ala is one of the special words. Remember? From the, I know it's a lot, but ala is one of the special words. And over here, it changes things to have the noun after it to have a kasra or a kasra with a tanween. So so the next part would be the small mountain. Though remember, it's a noun-adjective relationship over here, so you would write mountain first, and you would write small next. So the mountain and small. So the reason it's the mountain is Jabal. You added the over here. To make it the small, an adjective of the mountain, you have to also add an L. Jabal has a kasra over here. It's Jabali because of the preposition before it. Therefore, the adjective also has to have the kasra to match. So that's something important to remember. Sometimes people forget to make the adjective also have the kasra because it must match. Making sense? You covered all of chapter 4 with all these examples. If you guys understand these examples, you understand everything in chapter 4. So now you understand chapter 5, you understand chapter 4, and you understand all the concepts. So technically you understand it all, but these are in application to what the concept we learned. Any questions? Yeah.
The reason Saviri has a kasra because the Jabal is 2 L's, you have to put the kasra on the first L. Is that the reason?
No, the reason Saghir has a kasra is because Jabal has a kasra. Jabal has a kasra because Ala is before it and Ala makes it have a kasra. Great question.
All these words make the next one kasra, right? Fi, min, and.
But the next,
Ala.
only if the next, yes, only if it's a noun. Only if it's a noun. If a verb follows it or whatever, it usually doesn't follow a verb, but it's only a noun. It can only affect a noun.
The question that one before Fatima is from Mecca. The reason why Mecca changed to Mecca Ta instead of Mecca 2 is because the min would normally make it a kasra, but it can have a kasra, so we change it to a ta.
Exactly.
So we don't put that 2.
You don't, yes.
Change it.
Yes. So if something can have a kasra, you change it to a fatha, not a dhamma. That's a good question.
Change.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But adding to this question, when he was saying Jabal, Lam has kasra because that is true. Because Jabal Sagir, you can't read unless you put Lam kasra.
No, that's not why it has kasra. It has
it doesn't have that, but he says holds with that.
Yeah, it does. Yes, I agree.
So that's the reason.
It holds, but that's not why.
That's not why.
Exactly.
I understand.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Are you guys good? Are you guys tired? Should I continue? Yes, continue? Okay, let's go to chapter 3. And then we'll probably stop after chapter 3. Okay? Okay, so this is the last portion and then we'll stop. If you guys have any questions, you can email at our email addresses or email directly. Okay, so last portion we'll go over the examples from chapter 3. Now it's getting easier because we're working our way from the hard stuff to the easy stuff. So if you understand what we just covered, you'll understand what's going on now. So the first example, again, we'll look at the English, we'll cover the Arabic. And it says, Muhammad is a messenger. This is a nominal sentence. The subject and predicate must match in gender. Both of them must be male. Okay? So, Muhammadun Rasulun. Pretty straightforward, easy. Very easy sentence. The next one, Musa is a strong prophet. Okay? So we do the before the is the subject usually, and after the is usually the predicate. This is not always the case, but this is what you've learned so far. Musa is before the is, it's the subject. So we do write that. Musa is a proper noun, so remember how it's written. Strong prophet, a strong prophet is a noun-adjective relationship. Noun-adjective relationships must match in 4 things. We've learned 3 of the 4 things, so we have to make sure that they match. It's indefinite, so all of them have to be indefinite. Both of them are masculine, and both of them have the same vowel markings. in Arabic, we write the noun first and the adjective last. So the noun comes first and the adjective comes last. Make sense? Okay, the next one. The young boy is near. The,
Excuse me, but
yes,
Musa is definite.
yes.
So it won't in the million way, it won't it be.
So Musa is definite, but you know, the noun adjective relationship only needs to match in definite, either the noun, when it's a noun and adjective, it has to match in both, either have to be definitive, both have to be indefinitive. But Musa is not an adjective, a part of this noun adjective relationship. Musa is the subject of the sentence. The subject and the predicate don't have to match in that. The only thing they have to match in is gender. Because if you try making it match, then it'll become a noun adjective relationship. Then it would just be a strong prophet Musa instead of Musa is a strong prophet. Making sense? Good questions. Okay, the next one. The young boy is near. The young boy is a noun adjective relationship. Because of the, it becomes definitive. So everything needs to be definitive. It's masculine because of boy. So al-waladu, al-sagiratu, both have the same vowel markings, both are definitive, both are masculine. Sagiru, sorry. Al-waladu, as-sagiru. Okay, is near. Near is the predicate. Again, the predicate doesn't have to match the subject in definitive and indefinitive. It just matches in gender, so you say qaribun. Okay, the next one. The new house is big, long, and far. So the new house, let's do that. Let's do the subject first. The new house, this is a noun adjective relationship. They must match, so they do. Al-baytu, al-jadidu. The next part is the predicate, big, long, and far. Anytime there's a list of something, you don't, in Arabic, you just write it. You don't have to even write the and. It's just implied. So, kabirun, tawilun, ba'idun. Huh?
Yeah, we have Kadim. We changed the name. Yeah, old is Najib.
Big is kabir.
So for us, we have old.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. As long as you know what's correct. The next one. The mountain is here and the moon is there. So let's break it up into subjects and predicates. And let's also remember when there's an and, break it up into two parts. So let's first do the first sentence, which is before the and, which is the mountain is here. Now let's break it up further and do the subject first. The mountain is the subject, so we write the subject usually first. So we'll say al-jabalu. Is implied, the predicate is here, so we'll write here, which is huna. Now we'll put a waw for and we'll then do the next sentence. The moon is there. The moon is the subject, so we'll say al-kamaru. Is implied, and then we'll say there, which is hunaka. So when you break things up, it makes your life so much easier, and it's easy to translate it into Arabic. Once you get really good at it, you don't have to break it up. But now that you're learning, break things up. The next thing, automatically, we see He is Allah, the mighty and the great. Okay? So let's do the first part. He is Allah. Huwallahu. And that makes sense. He is huwa, is implied, and Allahu, right? The mighty and the great. So this is a list, right? Anytime it's a list, you don't have to write the wow, the mighty and great. You don't have to write the wow to imply and. It's just implied when it's a list. So the mighty is al-qawiyyu, al-kabiru. These are both adjectives of what? Of Allah. So because it's an adjective of Allah, it matches. Both, they match. Allah doesn't have an alif lam, but it still matches. It's a proper noun. The adjectives have to be proper. If you didn't put an al in front of them, it would be wrong. Because these are adjectives of Allah, so you have to have an alif lam. So that's kind of tricky. So remember, when it's a proper noun, their adjectives need to have an alif lam.
But we didn't do that with Musa, Nabi, Nabi.
Yeah, we didn't. Because, again, to number 2, Musa is the subject. Strong prophet is the predicate. Strong prophet is the only thing in the noun-adjective relationship. It's not saying strong prophet Musa. It's saying Musa is a strong prophet. So these are not, Musa is not, a strong prophet is not an adjective of Musa.
So if you were saying he is Musa, a strong prophet, then it would be like huwa Musa al-Qawiyyun Nabiyyun? Al-Qawiyyun al-Nabiyyun?
Okay, the last one is Adam very weak. So this is a question. Is and are, we know how to say the questions, right? Anytime it's a question, it begins with a question word. It has to. So we know the question words from the packet over here. We can use either this one or this one. It doesn't matter. There's certain times that this one's preferred, and I've written that for you. So we go and we write Hal Adamu, very weak, Daifun Jiddan. Remember, Jiddan is also part of the handout under adjectives, and I said that it always comes at the end. So remember that. So yeah. Does it make sense? Okay, cool. So now you've covered all the concepts and you've went over all the examples from chapters 5, 4, and 3. Go over the examples on your own. We ran out of time, so we're not going to do the other examples. But I wanted to ideally go over all the examples with you. But go over examples from chapter 2 on your own, examples from chapter 1 on your own. And then after you're done with that, make sure you know all your vocab. And then just practice writing from, cover the Arabic and see the English and translate it into Arabic. Go from English to Arabic. Just practice doing that. And then you'll learn your vocab better that way and you'll understand all the rules. Okay? Does anyone have any questions? No? Everything made sense? Did I confuse you? Okay, and don't forget this, remember to change that mistake that was on your notes that I said, and I apologize. This box over here where it says min and from, it should be over here, under the things that cause a noun after it to end with a kasra or kasra with tanween. Okay, there's nothing under this category, you didn't learn that yet. Other than that, everything else, I didn't see any other mistakes that we went over. Okay, yes, you have a question? Yeah. Okay, I'll come over.
It should not matter.
Any.
After the peak, that you have.